Yo, homies, welcome back to the round table, brought to you in part by Red Bull. I don't got one right here, but Checkmate Industries, of course, too.
He's got one on deck right here.
Oh yeah, no, we're in the presence of the one and only Kevin Zinger today. What's going on, man?
What's up, boys? Good to meet you finally.
Yeah, for real.
Hey,
Thanks for
you too, man. It was a huge pleasure.
Yeah. Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, I complimented on your backyard, dog. It's looking sick. You got the mini ramp, the pool with the rock jump.
Oh yeah, you got to do it, man. Like fuck, especially right now, yeah, because all you can do is stay home. Well, I guess not everybody's doing that, but I am. But yeah, it's a nice house. I worked my ass off for it, so I'm stoked for sure.
Hey, at least you still have it. I saw you almost lost it a couple years, or last year, the year before in the fires. So
yeah, during the Malibu fires, man. I was actually, when that happened, I was in Nicaragua on vacation surfing, and so that when the fire broke out, the first 24 hours, there was basically no communication because all the cell towers burned down. So there was like one or two like little zones that people get cell phone calls out on. So I was in Nicaragua. So it was weird because I became like the communications hub for Malibu, but I was in Nicaragua. So we were like, because you couldn't get supplies in, you couldn't get anything in, and we had a couple of fire roads that we could sneak stuff in through. So I was basically like coordinating all of that from Nicaragua, getting all like the supplies into Malibu, and then as soon as we were getting them in through boat too, because everything was just shut down. And then I stayed down there for a day and a half, and then I jumped on a plane and flew back and got back into the city, and fucking, it was gnarly, fighting fires for like 9 days straight.
Yeah, I was watching it in your story, man. That looked insane.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Major props on your job, your diligence in that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, like here, if you live in Malibu, like if it's like one of those things where like if you leave, you're probably going to lose your house. You know what I mean? So I was stressed when I was in Nicaragua because, I didn't come from a lot of money, and everything that I had, I worked for, right? And everything is in this house. You know what I mean? So I was like, for me, it's not even like the material stuff that I built up, but like the pictures and the videos and all that kind of shit, like the old trophies from when I was surfing and like all that stuff that like I would never get back if the house burnt down, you know what I mean? And after 25 years of rock and roll and a lot of getting punched in the head from doing martial arts, my memory's not that great anymore. So if I lose all that stuff, it's like losing a ton of memories. So yeah, I definitely had a little bit of self-preservation in mind when I came back, but it was good to help everybody else too. I mean, we saved a lot of houses around here. I was looking out the window only because there's literally 2 houses up burnt to the ground. You know what I mean? It was nuts.
Yeah, that's sad, man.
Yeah.
Sad for sure. So how long have you been living in the Boo, man?
I've been in Malibu now for just over 10 years.
Okay.
Originally, I was born in LA, and then I lived in a brief run in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. And then from there, I moved to San Diego, which I pretty much consider my hometown because even though I was born here, like the years that you kind of like grow up, that's where I was. You know what I mean? I guess they call them your formidable years or whatever. And I still have a house down there, and it's kind of where my heart is. I would probably live there if I wasn't in the music business, but there's just nothing down there when you're in the music business. And I was like, when we started Suburban Noise, I was driving back and forth like twice a week, and it just became too much. You know what I mean? So eventually I ended up getting, actually one of my first apartments up here was with Lou on La Cienega. I think Lou's still there, funny enough, but with Lou for a while, and then I ended up moving up here full time when we really started taking Suburban Noise serious.
So was that your introduction to Lou? Like just meet him as a roommate, or you'd already known him previously?
No. Yeah, he was already in the band, and we were already like and stuff. Yeah. I just ended up renting a room from him for sure.
Gotcha.
So in San Diego, that's where you did most of your surfing and everything as you were growing up and everything.
Yeah,
right?
when I was a kid, I everybody has dreams of doing something like my thing was surfing, and I was fortunate enough where I realized at a young age I wasn't good enough to make any sort of real money at it. So I was glad that I didn't have any. You should always chase your dreams in life, but you should always chase your dreams with realistic expectations, right? Because you don't want to wake up being 38 years old and trying to be a professional surfer. I probably wasn't going to do too well at that, right? So I was down there, and then but through surfing was actually how I got in the music business, because I was basically like throwing concerts for like the surf movies, and then we would put like bands on them before, like skate movies or snowboard movies, and I would help filmmakers with music and putting all those bands in those kind of movies, and then we would throw the parties. So kind of helped me get to where I am, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried making music yourself? Have you ever played an instrument or anything like that before?
Yeah, I was in a band called Elixir, like a punk, like suicidal thrash metal band when I was like 15. Is probably the worst garbage shit, terrible music you'd ever want to hear in your life.
Hell yeah.
The guy that actually played guitar in it, we were little kids, you know what I mean? He was like the kid that lived down the street from me, and we were both trying to learn how to play guitar, but he was had far more natural talent than I did, and he's actually a really good guitar player now. But and so yeah, we started this little shitty band, and I sang, and it was really bad. But he actually hit me up like a year ago and was like, "I found the tape," and I was like, "No way!" I was like, "Send that to me." And then I was like, maybe I don't want to hear that, but yeah, he hasn't sent it to me yet, but I'd be interested to hear it for sure.
I bet that'll bring back some shit.
Yeah, it was really, really bad, really bad. But yeah, I could play a little bit of guitar, but nothing you'd want to hear.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure growing up, you like, even when you were doing like club promoting and all that, I'm sure you had no idea you'd ever go on to manage bands, let alone own a record label of yourself, your own. Like, I'm sure it wasn't the plan at first.
Nah, I mean, there really was. I mean, I've always been one of those people where like I just did it. You know what I mean? Yeah. There was really no plan, kind of thing. Like, yeah. For me, it was always like it was just like, let's fucking give it a go. Like, why not? You know what I mean? I was telling a kid that the other day because I can't even remember what we were doing. Oh, we were boxing, and he was like really tentative to do it, right? And then he started to do it, and he had like, you could tell he was like naturally gifted physically, you know what I mean? Like picking up things really quick. But you could tell he was a super shy kid. And I said, look, I sat him down. I said, look, man, I said, in life, you always have anxiety or something when you're doing something new, or you meeting new people, or you're doing things, like you're always going to have that nervousness, right? But I was like, but you don't want to let that hold you back. Like, jump right in, you know what I mean? And try shit, because if you don't, your whole life will go by and you won't have fucking done anything. You know what I mean?
The time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that being something that would hold someone way back,
Yeah. For me, I was always like, I always had that same anxiety and that same nervousness to do things, right? But I was always like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? And so the same way in business, you know what I mean? Like, when I started doing clubs, I wasn't even old enough to get in the club. You know what I mean? But I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. Like, why can't I do it? Those dudes are doing it, like, why can't I manage bands? Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just figured it out,
Yeah. And you just went after it. That's the biggest thing. You just
And in the music business, like, that's really how it is. And like, if you look at most of the successful people in the music business, like anybody that like, it's great if you go to college and all that stuff. Like, I'm not downplaying that, but like, you're not going to get much out of like real world application for whatever you would learn in college in the music business, right? Like, the music business is just like, you just got to go out there and do it. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of books you could read, like, that'll give you like the fundamentals and the knowledge of the actual business part of it, right? But the music business is like, it's more of a personality thing than like a learning. You got to get out there and just do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I can see that. Straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what kind of was the transition? Like, what were the first bands you kind of like started promoting? You know, back.
Sprung Monkey was the first band that I managed. I think. Hold on, I'll see if I can find. I think it's right. I've actually during this COVID shit been cleaning some old stuff out, and I found like some old things. But I got this old flyer book. Hold on, let's see if I can find it really quick.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. You must know we love some good merch.
Hell yeah, man! And Sprung Monkey's been around for a long time. So that's fucking dope.
Sprung Monkey was the first band I managed, but the first band that I actually, the first bands that I actually started promoting were like Pennywise and shit like that.
Well, yes, and man.
Here, look, this is Kottonmouth's first. Yeah, this is when Kottonmouth was spelled with C.
Oh shit. That's some original stuff right there. Is it Kottonmouth Ballers?
It was originally it was Kottonmouth, and then or P-Town Ballers. They were trying to decide what to call it, and then I looked up the trademark, and Kottonmouth was taken by somebody, I think, and then they changed, and then this guy Eddie said, "You guys should just add Kings to it," and then that's how it became the Kottonmouth Kings.
Well, I think it might have been a clothing company.
Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right.
I remember seeing some
a lot of versatility for like a lot of different gimmicks and everything though, so that was dope.
There was a lot of back then. It was like whatever the mid '90s. There was 1.5 million clothing companies out there that were like just starting out, But yeah, I mean, look, these are like old school shows. Offspring, Blink-182 opening up for them. Fucking Sugar Ray before they became lame. Sprung Monkey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Snot. Sugar Ray, actually, if you listen to their first 2 records, they're really badass records.
No,
and they had that one song. And they had that one song, and then they tried to make a bunch more that sounded like that. You know what I mean? I'm actually the one that got that song, that Fly song, started. It was actually,
no shit.
Really?
It was my fault.
Hey, I liked that as a kid. I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah. My buddy.
That was my shit.
I used to have Sugar Ray play all the time our clubs. My buddy at 91X would come, and he was like, "Dude, like the Mark, that guy's a star and a good-looking guy, but these songs are too like crunchy. I can't play them on the radio." And Fly, that song that actually broke him, was like a song that was like number 16 out of like 16 tracks. It was like the last one on the record. And I was like, check out this Fly song. And he was like, wow, this song's fucking dope. And then they ended up playing it on 91X, and it ended up going right up the whatever they call it on radio, the chart or whatever. And it ended up going up. And then I can remember like a month and a half later, because I used to hang out with Mark McGrath all the time back then.
Hell yeah.
And I can remember like we were at the K-Rock Weenie Roast, and Sprung Monkey was playing, and Sugar Ray was playing. I think maybe Pennywise was playing too, but I can't remember. But I can remember sitting in like the backstage, and I saw like the planes, and they have the little banners behind them.
Oh yeah.
And it was me, this guy Malcolm from 91X, McGrath, and I think Stan from Sugar Ray, all sitting there talking. And I looked up behind McGrath's back, and I saw this plane, and on the back of the banner it said Sugar Ray now on K-Rock. And I fucking looked over at Mark, and I was like, check it out, bro. I was like, see you in like 4 or 5 years, you're about to blow the fuck up, dog. And literally it was true. So
you know what's crazy is that was how I first heard of KMK. I was in 7th grade. It was like 97, and they got some airplay on K-Rock.
Yeah.
Dog's Life.
Yeah. That's right.
Man, I don't know how I heard it, but because it wasn't like it was all the time. It just happened to be that moment. And
yeah. It was like they'd play us like at 420 or like on some specialty thing. Yeah, for sure.
It was dope though. So that's when I got into that.
here's Blink in front of our old warehouse back in the day when they were just Groms. We would do Blink shows. They weren't even old enough to get in, so they'd have to sit out in front and fucking wait until it was their turn to play.
That's nuts, bro.
This one doesn't have all the old flyers in it. This has like
That was a lot of the OC scene or like.
Oh, this is San Diego.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the other one's in the. I'll go grab it in a minute. The other book is in the front room. Oh, hold on. I'll go. It's worth checking out. Hold on. I'll go grab it.
Oh yeah. Nostalgia right there.
Yeah, man.
Pennywise. I remember when the first time I heard of Pennywise, I think was on the Punkorama like albums and stuff like that.
Yeah, when I was in elementary school, a bunch of my friends in like fifth and sixth grade were already like hardcore Blink-182 fans, and dude, I still got my my Sugar Ray cassettes somewhere.
Oh, hell yeah! There's that the RPM song or something like where the RPMs were like revving up in the beat.
All I can even remember now is just that Fly song.
Dude, there's an intersection in my neighborhood called Mark and McGrath. I'm not kidding.
What the?
Yeah, the intersection of Mark and McGrath. I showed him a picture of it before on Instagram, and he liked it.
City planner must have been a big fan.
Yeah, right.
Cross a dirt bike fan.
It might be a common name too, actually. But yeah, man, Blink-182 and Sublime and Pennywise, shoot. Golden era to be in Southern California during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, before Blink-182 even had the 182.
I was going to say, before they had any commercial success at all, too.
Right. The Fly Swatter era. I think that was their first demo tape or whatever.
Yeah, they already had their album out, one album out before Dude Ranch, right?
Yeah, they're like even Dude Ranch and like those early ones are a lot more like kind of punk rock.
Right on, man.
Yeah, actually, the first show I ever did, it's kind of embarrassing. Because, like, a lot of people don't realize it, right? But, like, you know, all this shit was before the internet, right? So it's like a lot of people only realize S.R.H as, like, the Suburban Noise years because that was the years the internet started, right? So they don't even realize, like, the early shit with, like, Sublime and all those kind of bands, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like, here's Sublime and the Funk Junkies, Pennywise, Offspring opening up for Pennywise. That's funny.
Damn.
1993.
Yeah, you know, I would hear like all those bands get little promotions on K-Rock here and there, just like small. When they would say their tickets were on sale at the Tower. Because
back then they had to they were playing like Soundgarden or Nirvana and all that kind of shit. So like these bands were like, look, here's Incubus opening.
That's exactly it. I was in a grunge era when I transitioned back into hip hop, you know, from Rage and then KMK coming out and Limp, and that's badass, man. You worked with all the classics, dude.
Yeah.
No doubt, right?
Yeah, this is our first CD, or not the first CD, but one of the first CDs we ever did, and this was before any of these bands blew up, but even Limp Bizkit was on it. That's fucking funny.
So, dude, just like the epitome of the early 90s in general. Holy fuck.
Yeah, Unwritten Law, Kottonmouth, Pennywise. Kottonmouth hadn't even put out a record at that point.
Wow.
Strong Monkey, Guttermouth, Furious 4, Lucy's Fur Coat, Offspring, Youth Brigade, Rocket from the Crypt, Limp Bizkit.
Dude.
Some of these things are classic though, because you can see like how old they were by like who was opening. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like Sublime opening for the Youth Brigade. Fucking another Sublime one. This was the first Pennywise show I ever did, and I misspelled Pennywise and put a space in between them. And Shrinky Dinks was the original name of Sugar Ray before they were Sugar Ray. When they were still like a hardcore band, they were called the Shrinky Dinks, and they got sued. They got sued by the Shrinky Dinks game, and that's why they changed their name to Sugar Ray.
Oh, how lame.
Yeah.
Dinks aren't even around anymore.
Like Face to Face and Lagwagon opening for the Funk Junkies. That's fucking.
Yeah, man, that's bad.
Yeah, Funk Junkies were sick.
Face to Face, all that, man. That was.
Yeah.
Now, Kevin, now that you brought back a lot of the older acts, whatever happened to Two Rude? Because I'm personally a huge fan of them.
Yeah, Robbie's still around. I think he's still doing records. I saw him at Fletcher's bar. It was the last time I saw him. Probably like 6 months ago. But yeah, he's doing good. But I don't think. I think he just plays like, and I don't know. Maybe he's not. But I think he's only playing like local shows and around the South Bay and stuff. He's not like they're not like a national touring act anymore.
That's what I saw. Yeah,
Robbie's super talented, man. His voice is incredible. Like those first couple Two Rude records were really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like them.
Yeah.
Jordan's got the tat.
What's that?
I got the Two Rude.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, like, you know, when they make this new Kottonmouth record, I think it would be cool if they like did songs with some of those dudes. You know what I mean? Like. A lot of those guys were like, well, Robbie, for instance, was like, he was friends with Brad, like D-Loc and Richter. Back then, D-Loc and Saint were the younger kids, right? And Robbie was more friends with Brad, but
they're connected.
But I think it would be cool if they came back and did it. And I think Robbie had a massive falling out with Brad as well.
Probably. Yeah.
Seems like to be an ongoing theme.
Yeah,
that seems to be a common thread with everybody.
Back then, though, you could tell, like, when they were singing, like, when they were together, there was kind of some type of connection in it, though, you know?
Oh, for sure.
They were vibing.
I mean, dude, that Dog's Life song was literally, like, Suburban Life and Dog's Life were the reasons why, like yourself, a lot of, like, kids found out about Kottonmouth, you know what I mean? Because, like, in the early days of Kottonmouth, like, their fan base, they were big in Southern California before they were big anywhere else, only because Brad had the LA club scene pretty wired, right? And then I had everything else pretty much wired, you know what I mean? Because like at the time, like S.R.H was huge in San Diego, it was huge in Orange County. I was doing clubs in Santa Cruz, so like we were able to like, Kottonmouth was very fortunate where like they were like, you know, a lot of, when you're a new band, like the hardest thing is like finding shows and people to play to, you know what I mean? And like Kottonmouth was instantly plugged into like playing to like 600-700 people a night, you know what I mean? They never had to like work their way up the ladder, right? So they always had like through the S.R.H thing or, you know, Brad had some connections in LA. They were always like thrown right into the limelight, which they stepped up, right? And like, you know, it's hard for a kid, but like to you know, get the confidence enough to go out there and do it. But they did, you know what I mean? And but they were very fortunate to have that kind of a push. But then when Dog's Life and Suburban Life came out, you know, there were kids in Southern California that found out about it. So we could see like the younger kids start to show up. And then like when they went out and toured, like then they like, you know, those kids showed up across the country, you know what I mean? So it's cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm sure you remember, but I grew up skating in downtown Riverside, and I always started shopping at C&C Ride Shop. And
Larry.
Yeah, Larry Boyles.
What happened to that guy?
You know what? I think he's doing. He builds RV trailers now.
Oh, sick.
I think he's got like his own line of them and all that.
No way. Yeah, he was always a good entrepreneur. I'm sure he does.
Oh yeah, and he's doing cannabis too. He's got like up in another state or something.
I think everybody's doing cannabis.
He's been doing it though, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Very fortunate to be in California.
He was always a good. He went to that guy went to Japan with us one time with. I think it was Kingsfade. It was just me, Larry, and D-Loc and Richter, I think, and Bobby was going over there. Yeah. Wow.
Was that when a lot of the footage for like the DVD was filmed and stuff, or was that even their prior? That was an earlier tour or whatever.
Which DVD?
Shit. Wasn't it on It had a lot of the stuff from Fire It Up on it and stuff like that. So,
Dude, to be honest with you, bro, like I haven't looked at any of that old stuff in years, and I need to. I really do. But I just, for whatever reason, you know, I haven't checked all that stuff out in so long. But I need to do it, because even I forget. You know what I mean? Like I fucking directed I did the documentary and Long Live the Kings and all those videos. I mean, it was me and this guy Bill Wadsworth and sitting in this fucking room for hours going through footage. But like, yeah, I haven't watched that thing in so long, but it would be good to get a little refresher course for sure.
Huh. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's probably been a while for me too. I couldn't even tell you which one it was, but yeah, I know it was definitely around the Fire It Up era because a lot of the songs featured on it were that one right there.
Yeah.
That album.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, she made a shout out to CNC Ride Shop though, because man, what a sick skate shop! But also, everything just comes full circle. My very first skateboard I ever had, I remember I got a Spade sticker on there. So heavy influence on the IE, and that shop went on to even grow. And I remember going to a KMK signing a couple times at CNC. It was a good time to be in Southern California. I love it.
I think Larry was like super, like him and Richter were pretty good friends, I think, and like would hang out. Actually, dude, funny enough, Richter just texted me. But yeah, they were, he was a good guy. He always made sure to take care of the boys for sure.
Shout out Richter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just texted me. Here, I'll take a picture of you guys and send it to him.
Very close. Sorry.
That's dope.
I'm telling him I'm on with you guys. Does he know? Have those guys done this?
You know what? We haven't got any of the Kings yet. Actually, we've Bobby's come back and forth, but he's never really committed to coming on.
We had
Brock, get Bobby coming on with me, dude. We could do it together.
I know. We can hit him up right now.
Hell yeah, do it.
Why not? Let's bring it all out.
Hit him up.
God, Bobby is really vigilant on Facebook. He is.
Very, huh?
It's adorable.
Yeah, it is. Bobby needs to take a walk.
Look, here's the thing with Bobby B, right? Is it's crazy when your perception of what occurred is that off, and clearly he's passionate about it. But even in look, Bobby's nickname in the Kottonmouth days was Whiny B, right? That's what we all so he's always been that guy that liked to complain about everything. And that's always been, I mean, that's just part of his personality, right? The crazy, and why I just chuckle about it now is the crazy thing that happens, with this whole thing of like, Zinger ripped me off and all that nonsense is like, it's crazy to me because one of the biggest fights that I would have with Brad back then, and one of the things that really like started to tear Brad and I's relationship apart was because the same thing that he did to Pakalika, he was trying to do to Bobby. And I was always the one that was defending Bobby behind the scenes. And, I wouldn't tell Bobby that because Bobby, like I said, we called him Whiny B. So if, he would complain about things that weren't real, you know what I mean? Imagine if it was, right? So it was my job as a manager to keep the band together, not to rip them apart, right? So like I would have all these conversations with Brad about like, because Brad's whole thing with Bobby was like, he doesn't make any of the beats, right? He doesn't contribute musically. He, he basically is just up there just scratching and hitting play on a playback, right? And I'm like, and my thing was, okay, cool, but you don't make a deal with somebody, live up to that deal for 10 years, and then switch it on them. Like, that's my thing. Like, a deal is just a deal, right? So if you made the mistake of making that deal 10 years ago, that doesn't fucking matter. It's still a deal. And no matter if I'm angry with Bobby or think whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Like, if I make a deal with my worst enemy, I still live up to the deal, right? Doesn't make any sense. And like, Brad had already done that to Pakalika, you know what I mean? And it you know, I think by now everybody has heard what happened with that, right? But it was like, it was just fucking mind-boggling to me that we were even having those discussions, you know what I mean? And I never told Bobby, like, you know, I mean, maybe I did a little bit, but not to the depth of what it was, right? So like, one of the biggest fucking things that always makes me laugh is like, Bobby's always like, yeah, fuck Zinger, he ripped us. I'm like, you dumb shit. Like, I was the guy that was actually fucking fighting for you, and like, you know what I mean? That was one of the biggest things. If I would have just agreed with Brad and fucking been like, yeah, go fucking da 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 da, maybe we wouldn't have fucking gotten to as many or sort of heated arguments as we did, right? But it just wasn't. It's not in my fucking DNA to fucking do that, right? But yeah, you know. And then the other one with Bobby is always like he ripped us off for all these sales, and I'm just like, oh, Bobby, like back then, like, there's a thing called SoundScan, right? SoundScan is a thing that, like, the same people like that do the ratings for television, Nielsen, do this thing called Nielsen SoundScan, right? And so every time back then you would sell a CD, the barcode would swipe across that thing, and SoundScan would count that sale, right? So when Bobby would say, you know, built for scratch, and, you know, I got a royalty check for $400, it was like, yeah, dude, because it didn't sell that many. You know what I mean? Like, it sold that many through stores, so that's what your check was. And like, I would hold up SoundScan and like show him, and like, I would, even in one of the videos, I think I did it, like when I was like trying to defend myself. But like,
yeah, I remember you brought out the books.
But yeah, but fans didn't know what SoundScan was. You know what I mean? People don't know what that is. Like, only people in the music industry know what that is. You know what I mean? So it's like super hard to like, you know, try to explain something to people that like, they don't, why would it, if you're a fan, why the fuck do I know about SoundScan? Why would they know? You know what I mean? But now there's this thing called fucking Spotify, and you can see how many spins are on it, right? And it's like, go look. I mean, I haven't looked up, but I'm sure if you looked at those same records, like, where's those millions of dollars, Bobby? Like, if your record only streams 10,000 streams, there's no money, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to Google it. Go Google how many streams it takes on Spotify to make $5,000. It's fucking like, you have to get 1 million streams to get $5,000, right? Yeah. So I guarantee you, Bobby B's built from scratch is not anywhere close to that, right? So it's like, he doesn't, but you know what I mean? It's like trying to explain these things. It's like, yeah, you just give up after a while. You're like, dude, like, okay, I'm the biggest thief ever. You got me, dog.
Yeah, the greatest thing I took from the last boss I had, he used to say, perspective is everything. And now I understand it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, my thing is there's two sides to every story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth, right? But like,
facts are facts.
Not with this one, dog. You know. But anyways, you know. And look, at the end of the day, like, I choose to remember the good times that I had with Bobby B, and I'll just focus in on that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he talks so much shit about me, and he'll be on Facebook like, he's not allowed in my town. I'm like, dog, I was in your town last week. Like, where were you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, however he would want to handle the situation, sit down and talk to me like a man, face to face. Like, you gotta remember, through this whole thing, Brad, Bobby, they've never actually taken me up and sat down, looked at me face to face, and fucking and said anything. So if anybody ripped me off, that's the first thing I would want to fucking do. You know what I mean? Like, dog, you were my homeboy. How could you do that? Well, They don't want to do that because they know damn well I didn't rip them off. You know what I mean? And then you go out there and you put that out to the world.
Yeah.
It's kind of a heavy thing. So anyways,
big contradiction.
So yeah, they've never done that. And if they wanted to take it some other way, like, you know, Bobby's always tough on the internet, like, oh yeah, I'm good. Bro, come over. You know what I mean? Like, no problem, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I train every day and fight every day for fun. You think I'm scared of fighting Bobby B? I mean, come on.
Jump on the mat like it, man.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't, you know, the whole thing is like, it's ridiculous at this point. You know what I mean? And the sad part of it is like when I see fans who are like, you know, well, it's not the same because all the guys aren't in it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's not the same. It's never gonna be the same, right? Unless somebody's got a time machine. Like, I respect Victor and Loke for going out there and doing it, right? And they're doing what they're doing. Would I love to see Bobby be up there as a fan of the band? Of course I would. Of course I would, right? Like, I'll put my differences to the side. Come on up. But until you can have a man-on-man conversation and look at people in the eyes, I can't expect anybody to, you know what I mean? Like, why would D-Loke and Richter want to do that?
That's what I always say to all the haters in the comment threads and stuff on the fan sites and stuff is, hey, you know, whatever happened personally between anyone, that's their business, but good music is good music, and I support the art and the talent in that, you know, so... Hey, as a fan, that's all we can do, you know?
Trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. There is a lot of your favorite bands that are out touring around right now that stay on stage, or not right now, but...
They can't be right now, actually, it sucks.
That they can't fucking stand each other. Yeah. But you know what? They man up, and they either do it for their families, do it for their own financial reasons, or do it for their fans, or some combination of both, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not a big enough man to be able to put your differences to the side for an hour and 15 minutes a night to be able to keep your legacy going, then you're just a fucking bitch.
Yeah, you don't give everything you built up, man. That's for sure, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm
hard work on that, so.
I'm sure individually these guys should understand that collaboratively they're such a face and a brand too, that working together would be in everybody's best financial benefit, you know. And I'm sure, who wants to turn down some fucking money, you know? Like,
I mean, look, like whether Bobby contributed hugely musically or not, right? The fans want it, the legacy wants it, right? Like that's the expectation, is to look up and see Bobby B, right? Like that was the biggest mistake that Brad had made during the Pakalika thing, and continued to make that mistake, is sometimes when your ego gets big, right, you believe that you can wipe away parts of history because you are bigger than that, right? So like there was this whole thing with like, you know, like stop putting Bobby and Taxman and Pakalika in pictures, and then it was stop putting this in pictures and and it was just like, bro, we've been doing this for fucking 10 years. Like, what you can't go across the country and tell all these kids, let's say for Pakalika, for example, the guy is the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread, the greatest entertainer ever, right? These are his words, not mine. Right? And, even though I might believe that, right? But like those were his words, right? But you can't go across the country and tell all your fans the greatest entertainer of all time, blah 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 blah, and then fast forward, you put out a record, and you're like, oh yeah, well he's not in the band anymore. I'm not really going to give you an explanation, and you know he was never really an important member of the band. You're like, but dude, if I just rewind your fucking interview for last year, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
it almost sounds like Brad X was trying to take a book out of Vince McMahon's, the way he handles WWE.
No, Brad is very much like that. Very, very like you know, boisterous and loud and like very like you know what I mean? Like theatrical, right?
Show.
I watched some super early footage of Brad. I just saw it the other day. He couldn't have. He was it was Doggy Style, and they were on stage in like the middle of the country, but he was so like thin. He couldn't have been like more than like 19 or 20. It was so funny.
Yeah. No,
Somebody
dude,
had a
like as much of an issue as I have with Brad, right? Like again, like Brad was a fucking punk rock legend. Like Doggy Style was sick. Humble Gods was sick. Like when Kottonmouth first started, like we all were putting our let's call it from like 95 to 97 sort of thing, like the very early days of it. Like we were all putting our 2 cents in, but Brad was the glue that was putting it all together for sure. Like denying that is just fucking not true. You know what I mean? Like the guy literally had a huge contribution in the thing, right? And as time went on, like in the early Suburban Noise days, he had a huge contribution to the label too. It's just eventually he, you know, when he moved away and he just grew out of it, like, you know, literally when he sued his own label, which is just fucking retarded.
That's what I wanted to ask.
But he didn't even know who was on the label anymore. Like that's how fucking disconnected it got. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways. But the point is, like, you can't rewrite fucking history. You know what I mean? No. You can't take away people's whether you like somebody or not. You can't take away their contributions. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, yeah.
And most importantly, the fans saw right through that. It's like a mind fuck especially for a younger fan. Like, wait, what the fuck? One day Pakalika's here, and then all of a sudden he's like, what?
Yeah. No, I mean, and that was the sad part about Brad. Like, he would do some dumb fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, even the thing with like, you know, fucking, I got stabbed in the neck, and he put that out, and I was like, my man, you can't tell people that, bro. Like, these kids love you. You know what I mean? Like, you're their hero, bro. Like, I got fucking little girls calling the office crying and fucking people fucking sending fucking flowers, dog. You had a fucking cyst removed. Like, you can't tell fucking people that shit. You know what I mean?
Kevin, you might be able to answer this. I've had this question for a little bit. Are you familiar with the Hanna-Barbera cartoon of Johnny Bravo?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Which was first, his Brad's alter ego? First. So I think that cartoon was inspired on him.
Really?
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because his alter ego would go on all those talk shows, and he was like a total player. He was a sex addict. He was trying to recover from it.
100% it was. 100%.
And that's what his like new movement was about. I loved it. So like you said, he's just a total entertainer.
Yeah, when he was doing all that shit, look, he had television show offers and all sorts of shit. Like, you know, I'm not quite sure. I think that he started that character as a way to promote the Humble Gods, to be honest with you. Like, it was like a way to get, like, I think it's like somebody like invited those guys to like one of those, you know, those lame Jerry Springer shows or something like that. And like Brad came up with like, you know, he, like I said, he was very theatrical and came up with, you know, you look back at Doggy Style, it was a very theatrical kind of thing. Right. But, you know, so I think that he, you know, I'm pretty sure, like I said, I've been punched in the head a lot in 20 years of rock and roll, but I'm pretty sure that he came up with that character, sort of like ad-libbed it going into that place with Ricky Vodka, if my memory serves me correct, and it was a way to promote the Humble Gods.
That's
so
yeah.
Genius,
more punk than punk. Like, that was the badass part of Brad X. Like, you know, people look back at it now and they go, oh, look, he's a clown, Johnny Bravo, and da-da, and they make fun of him for it. But if you really think about it, like, that's punker than punk. Like, he made up some fucking goofy, lame fucking character, went on those fucking shows and turned them on their fucking heads and was making fun of how stupid those shows were. You know what I mean? Because clearly he's not Johnny Bravo. I mean, Brad never even did drugs back in the day. Like, it's unfortunate what happened now, but like, back in the day, he was completely straight edge. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he was anti, like, everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the vibe I always got as a fan. He always seemed like the most sober and like maybe the only one to only smoke like a joint around the fire or something.
He'd take one hit of a joint, he'd be fucking, his dick would be in the dirt. He wasn't barely even smoking. You know what I mean? And that's not a diss. I'm just saying, like, he just wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
but he was great at like being entertaining though.
Yeah, the persona when it came time.
Yeah, he was very over the top at all times for sure, and that was a great part of Kottonmouth. It also added a bit of the drama in the later years for sure. But you know, like even Pakalika, right? Like Brad knew Pac from the dance clubs and stuff like that, and met him out in front of the Hollywood Max Museum where he was like a mime, and fucking, you know, it was Brad's concept of like.
I don't know if you know, we had Graham Vanak on.
How is Vanak doing? I haven't talked to him. I see him every once in a while on social media when I see his breakdance and shit. He's a beast.
He's in amazing shape.
Yeah, he's active.
Dude, you see that shit he does? Oh fuck, that shit's so heavy, dude. Like, I couldn't do that. My body would fall apart.
Yeah, right. He's got a little boy too now that he's training on all that stuff. So it's kind of crazy to see his kid doing head spins on the clips and all that.
If you look at that first record we did, I mean, dude, like that was before its time. You know what I mean? Like it was a very like hip hop b-boy centric, like, you know, lyricist sort of record, right? And at the time, I mean, there were records like that, obviously, but
Deltron, like it reminded me a lot like Deltron or something like that. Del-20.
Yeah, it was way more on like the KRS-One vibe than like. That's why I think it went over a lot of heads with like the Kottonmouth fan base, because people were just like, "What's this?" You know what I mean? Like they didn't.
You know what? That's what I was.
That's what got my attention.
I told one of these guys, I'm like, damn, you know what? Like having him as an opener or something probably would have just been difficult, because it's like, like we would have gone right over his head, or like his lyrics would have gone right over there. You know, it wouldn't have really set up the next act. You know,
totally. And for Vanak and those guys, like, you know, Pakalika and Vanak were super, super close friends. But I think for Vanak, it was like, you know, even back then, like, you know, look, we were all young, so whether we were right or wrong or whatever, but like, I think for him, he was like, I don't want to open up for Kottonmouth. Like, I want to fucking open up for bands like this, you know what I mean? The KRS ones of the world, or you know what I mean? But for us, like, you know, we didn't, you know, maybe I could get him on a couple, but like, we didn't have those kind of like connections, you know what I mean? Like,
I understand.
I think he knows that too. That's kind of what the gist he was saying too, you know, because he was rolling with a lot of the people like Planet Asia and a lot of the like underground lyrical hip hop.
That's right. Yeah.
Different movement, you know, but. Yeah.
And I'm in that world, so I know the difference in what it is, right? But like, but back then it was like, you know, the suburban fan base didn't understand it, I don't think. You know?
For a little skater punk watching like the chocolate videos and the girl videos, you know, I totally got it, because I was in the licks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like the skater kids got it, right? Because the skate, like
Muska has that mentality. So like if you watch his clips, like it's kind of abstract hip hop.
Yeah. And Muska, I mean, before Muska ever blew up, like he used to just hang out in the front of our house and skate we had a house in Mission Beach that was like, it was called the Slop House, and it was like the go-to place for everybody to hang out at, and that's where Muska would fucking hang every day before he blew up. He would just skate down, and some of the homies would be like, "Who is this fucking guy? Like dressing all like crazy and fucking da da da." And I'd be like, "Leave him alone, dude. He's fucking Kid Rich," you know what I mean? And then literally like a year later, I think he signed to Shorties or something and blew the fuck up. You know what I mean? So I saw Muska at my art gallery, and we were talking about that a couple months back before all this shit happened.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
So sick.
Yeah,
Muska's definitely a huge influence on me too, coming up skating. I mean, he still is. You see, I got the Shorties board.
Show the board. You can't see the Muska board on the wall though.
Yeah, you know, I got the Muska reissue right there.
Hell yeah, that's badass. Yeah, no, Muska's the man. I mean, anybody that can parlay as many things as he has, you know what I mean? He even gave music a shot for a while. He spent a boatload of money, but shoot, I think he had like Ghostface and fucking some heavy cats on that record he did. You know what I mean?
Sure did.
Yeah.
I think he had
with Murs, right?
What's that?
I think he's homies with Murs.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah. He had a rap record, and then you know, he did all those movies. Well, I guess that was more Danny Minnick that was doing it with them. But yeah, I mean, now is in the art world. Fuck.
So sick.
Yeah, good for him. Man. That's dope.
Yeah, it's fun shit.
That's
funny.
Probably only a couple of weeks ago, I know Suburban Noise posted about it, but there was the fake Brad trying to scam people.
Yeah, that guy's still doing it, man.
Okay, dog, we wanted to let you know we have a little bit of an update. I'll let Daniel explain it a little bit because. Go ahead, Daniel.
We've been hot on their tail.
Yeah.
They're posing as other artists. One of them being Anybody Killa, you know, ABK from Psychopathic Records.
Yeah.
They got like multiple like mirror accounts that like it's like the same account as the official one, but they just changed the name a little bit. And so they've been going around, you know, asking for people's
like he just pretends to be other artists.
And he tries to be he pretends to be the actual artist, but like he still has a bunch of followers because people just he uses the same profile photo, the same like photos and all that.
They just changed something in like the profile name, the account name. They'll put like a 1 at the end or like an L instead of an I. And they've been hitting up people, you know, asking for them to send their credit card number. We suspect it's the same guy that was posing as Daddy X.
It's the same lingo, the same setup. It almost sounds like some foreigner, but
no, that's what I think too. It sounds like. Because you can see it, it's like he's got the verbiage almost down, and then he fucks up on something. You know what I mean? Where you're like, wait a second, dog. Like it's either like some like weird German cat or some dude in the Middle East or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Where you're like, hey, you almost had it, dog, but that gave you away. And some lady just fucking emailed the Suburban Noise account the other day, and she was literally about to send that fucker like 10 G's. And I was like, don't send that fucking guy anything. No, that's not real. And it sucks because if you're a kid, imagine getting that email and you're like, fuck yeah, it's my chance. I blew up. I showed you, Mom, I'm fucking going to do this. And now all of a sudden the dude who wants to sign you is asking you to send him 10 G's. You're like, wait a second.
Why would you?
You know, we've put together like we've talked to people and cumulatively there's at least like $1,500 to like $2,500 that we know of that this fool's gotten already.
No way. That's
yeah. 300 here, 400 here, 500 here. Yeah, man. From people who, you know.
Actually, we linked his IP. What Daniel? All kinds of different.
We've been you know, like tracing their numbers and like doing all kinds of research, looking at their IP address and stuff like that. So we got a few leads.
Ninja, I like you, dog. Like this dude.
Don't fucking
pound him.
Yeah, we've been intimidating the fuck out of them, blowing up their phone and everything.
Sick.
Trying to get them to stop. But we definitely got a few leads, that's for sure.
Yeah, a couple different numbers.
Checkmate, motherfucker.
That's badass. I have one of my the guy that does a lot of my internet stuff said he got one of their like Facebooks or Instagram shut down, but you fucking found their fucking phone numbers and shit. That's badass.
Oh
yeah, that's horrible, man. That's fucked up that people do that to people.
Yeah,
especially like when you're a fucking artist and you're just trying to like get some validation, and then all of a sudden, fucking somebody
scrounge up what you got, you know?
Yeah, takes your money, and then like that, like. Half of this shit is just confidence, you know what I mean? And wanting to believe that other people believe in you, you know what I mean? So to have that like feeling for like a week of like, oh yeah, I finally got it, and then have it like ripped away from you and like almost like in an embarrassing fashion, like, you know what I mean? That like puts you beyond even the starting point of where you were before, you know what I mean? You like feel like an idiot and your confidence is gone, and that's fucked up, man. Exactly.
And think, Kevin, the people that we've talked to that we found like $2,500 missing, those are the only ones that want to come forward and say, like you said, that, you know, are willing to be like, okay, yeah, it's embarrassing, but I want to tell people. It's like, man, so yeah, if anybody has any kind of information on these people, hit us up or
yeah.
You know,
If you guys could think of, I mean, I hate hearing shit like that, and I'd like to be able to do something for those people that did get their money ripped off, because, I mean, obviously, you know, I had nothing to do with it, but it's still like, you know, it's fucked up that Suburban Noise is even attached to that in any fucking way. So I don't know what I could do, but fuck, I'm happy to do whatever I can to make the people that got their money jacked fucking feel a little bit better. It's fucked up.
Yeah, slight upgrade at the next S.R.H fest they buy tickets for.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up with that plan? Actually, the next S.R.H fest.
I don't know. I'm keep going back and forth trying to figure out if I'm gonna do it digitally or not. I mean, like, for me personally, like, watching a concert on the internet is not exciting. You know what I mean? Kind of boring and watching paint dry, but so there's that side of me that's like, fuck that. I'll just wait till next year. And then there's the other side of it where it's like people are like, no, I want to watch it because that's better than nothing, and you know what I mean? And like, at least it would bring everybody together for a moment, you know what I mean? So
my thought on that, if you'd like to hear, is maybe if there is some type of extra like stage production and like some physical or digital downloads sold afterwards, so people remember, like, see it, you know? Because I don't know, if they were paying to see a live thing, they'd probably want something tangible like that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Just
I mean, what I was thinking was trying to make it like more interactive, you know what I mean? Like, so like that people could actually like have a little bit more fun with it. So like, imagine if like, you know, there was you know, because like, even though we're all, well, not everybody obviously is like social distancing or trying to do the right thing or whatever, right? But like, not everybody's doing that. But for those people that are, right, like, you know, you're still probably like hanging out with, you know, obviously your family and let's say one or two of your closest friends, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's still
somewhere.
Yeah, there's still some interaction. So what my thought on it was like trying to find like cool ways to like make it like interactive, where like, even if you like invited like 10 of your homeboys over and you like watch the whole thing, you know, everybody could stay 6 feet apart and all that good stuff or whatever it is, right? But like trying to make the concert more interactive. So like, let's say every time the word fucking DJ got said, you had to drink, or every time the word weed got said, you had to smoke a bong hit, right? And like try to make it like more of like a cool way to like build in like drinking games and like fucked up ways to like interact with the fans and like make it so like it was, you know, there's all those like fucking funny drinking games and funny like weed games and like just putting different twists on it to like, you know, make people that are out there on the computer actually a part of the show a little bit, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, but I'm still not totally convinced that that I shouldn't just take a year off, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've watched a few like artists particular lives, like, you know, Kyle Smith or the Mendo Dope, a couple lives on that type of level, but I haven't sat through a whole one. I could say it's kind of harder to like when you're at your house.
It's boring, right?
It kind of does in a way. You know?
So for me, I wanted to make it like shorter sets so people didn't get bored, but like add like different cool things into it. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know what it is, but like have the Bong Olympics, right? So like in between every set, right? People fucking, okay, we're all gonna load up a fucking quarter fucking gram and fucking whoever smokes it's gonna fucking win this prize. And I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean? Just different ways. And then I was trying to find like I said, I haven't like looked into like the our old stuff and the archives lately, but I started cleaning my house the other day and I started finding like all these old tapes. I found the original fucking demo tape from Kottonmouth way back in the day.
No way.
Like finding like cool shit that like I could like, you know, expose to the fans like that way. You know what I mean? Like I thought like one cool way would be to do like a time capsule set, right? And you go back like and like find like all like the original like high 8 videos from way back in the day and show that kind of a set and you know, from all the different bands. And you know, I mean, I have old footage from fucking, you know, I went to No Effects with Germany to fucking Long Beach Dub All Stars in Japan to, you know what I mean? But finding like doing like something cool like that, you know what I mean? Because there's tons of like when they're doing a Sublime documentary right now, and they I don't know if I'm supposed to say that actually. Oh well, fuck it.
No worries, we can edit it out.
But, yeah, I don't. I mean, fuck. What are they gonna do? Sue me for saying that? But they basically they came and they were at my house for about 2 weeks, and they went through every single tape that I had. Just, you know, they called me up because they were like,
find the relics.
Not a lot of like people that had footage, and there was not, you know, back then like there was no iPhones, there was no, you know, you had to like have a high 8 camera or like, you know, it was difficult back then to like film shit because you had to be able to afford the camera, you had to have access to get to the show, you had to, you know, backstage or whatever it was. So anyways, they were having a hard time finding stuff, and I was like, yeah, cruise over and you can use whatever you want. And they, you know, they were tripping because they were like, how much do you want for it? And I was like, I don't want anything for it. Like, Brad was my friend, fucking, like, just make sure you tell the story right. So anyways, they came over for like 2 weeks, and the one thing that I did get out of it was, there's somewhere back here. Oh, did I blurted it out behind me? Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to let you guys go through all my tapes and log it all in. The only thing that I ask is that, you know, when they don't find stuff for Sublime, they still have to log in what it is, right? So now I actually have like everything logged in and like categorized, and so it was pretty sick actually. So it'd be rad to like, you know, show people that stuff because
Exactly.
you know, I didn't even know I had, you know, there's so much rad shit, you know.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that we're all about too. I know these guys before I jumped on, they had an episode showing all of their old relics and all their old albums from the S.R.H days and stuff, and
all the merch and stuff.
Yeah.
Daniel's got a lot of old
sick collections.
Oh, yeah.
Like fucking, I'm one of those people that probably has everything, but they're like in boxes randomly put everywhere. But I found when I was going through storage here I'll show.
Hell yeah.
I found these old. Yeah, it's good timing right now because I was literally been cleaning shit out.
Oh, it's perfect timing. Major shout out to Giant Steve too. He's got a lot of Apocalypse stuff.
That guy's the man, dude. He's so rad.
Yeah,
It's so rad how he fucking keeps Pac's memory alive like that. That guy's a sweet guy.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah, like they're like old like this is like the Japanese version.
Hell yeah, I got that album. But
man, I was just asking the homie whatever happened to Mower the other day. What happened to him, Kevin?
I think they're still around. I think it's just slower or something. So I don't think they play as Mower anymore. That was what I heard.
And I got that album though. That was sick. And then the remix with Saint Dog on the Pull It Over to the Right, you know, the Road Rage song.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Mower. They were a badass band.
Man, I got to see them open for KMK at the Whiskey or something like that, maybe back in the day. I forget, bro.
They killed it.
Or the Key Club, actually. I believe it was at the Key Club.
Yeah, for sure. Fucking the Key Club was a legendary spot for shows, that's for sure.
And
great.
I think that's the first place I saw the Kings.
We had so many crazy shows, fucking. Yeah, like these are all like the Japanese versions of like the Subnoise Soldier CD and shit. I found this box in there, the first S.R.H compilation.
Oh yeah.
This is a compilation that I did when Brad from Sublime passed away. It was a tribute to Sublime, and we got all the We got all other bands to cover Sublime songs. I don't even know if it actually.
Oh, I think I vaguely have heard about that.
Yeah, something. Which one is that? Can you hold that one up, Kevin?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to light on so I can actually see. My old ass can't see anymore. Yeah, it's got Jack Johnson did Bad Fish. Spearhead did What I Got. Fishbone did Date Rape. No Doubt did DJs. G-Love did Greatest Hits. Pennywise did Summer in the End. Los Lobos. Yeah. We put it out here. We put it out in Japan. Suburban Noise did, but I'm not sure who put it out here. I think maybe Universal or something. Classic.
So obviously you and Brad were really close. Like, you guys used to hit the waves first, or how did you guys get to know each other?
Brad from Sublime?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think I ever surfed with Brad. I think I ever did. No, just shows. I mean, we would have Sublime play, like, at least every other week. They were, like, kind of like that go-to S.R.H band, you know what I mean? For a while, we had every Thursday night, it was free to get in, and it was like $1 drafts, and it was Sublime every Thursday.
What's up, bro? Damn, that's being able to see that.
It's funny too because back then there was like no reference point, right? So like some of like the hardcore like punker guys that I'd hang out with would be like, what's wrong with these dudes? Like they play punk music, and then all of a sudden they'll go into like a reggae song. Like I don't get it. And then like the reggae stony dudes would be like, why are they ruining this fucking reggae song with like a punk rock fucking drop? Dude. You know what I mean? Like, so it was classic. Like I remember so many times being like, you don't get it, but these dudes are dope. Like, they'd be like, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, they sure found their fan base, all right. Fuck.
Unfortunately, after Brad died, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's the unfortunate part. But they found it. But
yeah, straight up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, rest in peace, Brad Noel, man. That sucks.
So, how about like your sports side, like sponsoring all your athletes and stuff like that? You got all kinds of different people you sponsored over the past, you know, MMA artists and surfers, skaters.
It was always like trying to find like the guys that were like either like pushing the boundaries and the limits of what it was, right? So like on the surfing side, like I was always trying to find like the guys that were doing airs and like surfing like skating, you know what I mean? Because I'm a surfer and I surf, but like surf culture and surfers are kind of corny to me, you know what I mean? They're a little like, yeah, bro, shit, you know what I mean? Like I'm all about being like, you know, rootsy and stuff, but they're a little corny, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I always hung out with skaters. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So yeah, on the surfing thing, I was always trying to find the guys that were like, you know, trying to push the limits of it and trying to like do new shit. And then on the skate side, like those were the guys that I hung out with. You know what I mean? Like back then, it was, you know, Jason Carney and Jason Rogers and like the H Street team, and then the next generation after that was like, you know, like Muska and those kids. They're not kids anymore, but and then you know, the thing that most people know us for was the freestyle motocross stuff, and it was like it's not because I'm some like gnarly rider or anything like that. It was back then. It was like there was nobody that was sponsoring those guys. And my thing was, there was a guy, Jeff Tilton, Tommy Clowers, and a bunch of guys that lived in San Diego, and they would like come to our clubs and they would hang out. And I always tripped out that like, I mean, those dudes were doing
after LPG, they kind of stopped, right? And then they kind of came back recently, but no one really focused.
Yeah, nobody was hooking those dudes up. And so I was like, yeah, fuck, I don't get why nobody wants to hook these dudes up. So I ended up hooking them up. And then after the next generation of that was, you know, like Twitch and Scummy and all those guys. And I met Twitch and Scummy through Big B and Loke and Richter and all those guys. Then we started sponsoring them. And then and you know, Metzger and all those guys, and then that's right when freestyle moto like blew up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've been sponsoring people for probably like 4 or 5 years before that, but because we were so attached to a lot of those dudes when it really blew up like that, a lot of people thought that we were just like a freestyle moto company, you know what I mean? Like a lot of their perception is that's what you guys are, you know what I mean? And like we were like beach kids and skated, and like yeah, like some of us rode, but we weren't like fucking doing gnarly shit like those guys were, you know what I mean? Like we were barefoot in the fucking sand drinking beers, you know what I mean? But I just dug what those dudes were doing, and then that shit just blew up. And then on the MMA thing, you know, I mean, we sponsored everybody from Liddell to Jardine to Rashad Evans to all those dudes. And then it just, for me, it kind of got really corny when like no offense to like Affliction and all that kind of stuff, but it's just not like, that's just not my vibe at all. So like,
you're staying in the underground here, so.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, it was like all that tap out, like I fight, like, and I love fighting, so don't get me wrong, but like I'm just not like the chest bump fucking hit your head like oh, like fucking like that kind of dude, you know what I mean? And it was like all that shit got so corny, and maybe to my own detriment, because I probably could have made a lot of money if I would have followed through, but like I was like, I don't want to sponsor this shit anymore because these dudes are fucking, you know, like it was the early days of MMA where like you know, now people who are real fighters, or even like, or just go to the gym to practice, or just do like,
there's a lot of prissy.
They're not going out to bars and like beating the shit out of somebody because they learned something at a gym. You know what I mean? But back then, you would get these dudes who would, you know, be doing MMA for a year, and yeah, you know more than the fucking poor guy that you just beat up at the bar, but that doesn't make you, you know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? So I was just like,
very prissy ass personality sometimes, you know?
Yeah. And so
strong dudes with girly fucking personalities.
So yeah, so I stopped doing the fight thing for a while. But yeah, now it's like, I mean, look, like S.R.H is, I mean, I literally keep S.R.H around because it's part of my DNA, you know what I mean? But like a lot of people don't realize that, but like, you know, it was a choice. Like we pulled out of Zoomies, we pulled out of Tilly's, we pulled out of No Fear, we pulled out, like we don't sell at the stores anymore. You can only get it online. Like it's a very small community, and I like it like that because the people that are into it and know about it are it's like a big extended family, right? And you're fucking, if you wear it, you're fucking, you know what it's about, you know the vibe with it, you know what I mean? And like it brings people together, and people are like, oh, I met my fucking wife at fucking an S.R.H show, and fucking now we've been married, or you know what I mean? Or this is my fucking best friend, and I was walking by him at a grocery store and saw an S.R.H hat and was like, oh, cool hat, and then we started talking and burned one, and fucking now we've been best friends for 15 years. Like there's endless stories like that, right? So it was like, if I would have just like canned everything, it would have, that's like, I couldn't do that, you know what I mean? But like S.R.H doesn't pay my bills, but it's doesn't pay my bills. You know what I mean? It's like sure, I could go sell it to fucking, I could go sell it on Amazon. I could go fucking put it in fucking Tilly's and Zoomies and all that stuff. And when we did that, when we sold the Tilly's and Zoomies, it was great and it made the fucking scene bigger and da-da-da. But then it got a little bit to the point where it got I don't want to say too big because that's not true, but it got big enough that when the lawsuit and all that stuff happened, people kind of lost vision of what it kind of really was. You know what I mean? And like there was a lot of like, you know, I mean, obviously I took the most amount of shit out of anybody, right? Like I had fucking kids saying they were gonna come kill me. I'm like, fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't do anything, but I just wanted to bring it back to like a core group of people, if that makes any sense. And I'm fortunate enough where I can afford to do that. You know what I mean? Like my other businesses do well, so I don't have to put it in. Ross, Dress for Less, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and and first and foremost, as a fan, thank you, because I never quit, supporting S.R.H, but I was definitely as soon as you relaunched, I was one of the first ones to buy one of the black space shirts.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and both fests fucking got the VIP passes to fucking get there.
Appreciate it.
Fucking appreciate you big time. Yeah. And also fucking all the artists that you've had the vision to see, like, or that have even have wanted to collab after and seen your vision and been like down for it, because there's been a lot of dope ass people like that have came after the fact, like Slain, and Mad Child is still with it and running hard, and he's sick as hell.
Yeah. Slane's dope for sure. That new kid Obnoxious is fucking dope too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Give him props for sure.
Yeah.
That was sick, man. How'd he come about actually?
How did I meet Obnoxious?
He's out of San Diego.
He's out of San Diego, so I think I saw him just randomly on social media, and I was like, oh, this kid can fucking spit. Like, he's sick. And, like, a lot of people don't realize, like, San Diego, you just think, like, palm trees and fucking beaches and da-da-da, but there's some fucking gnarly, rough fucking neighborhoods down there, you know what I mean? So, like, a lot of people's perception of San Diego might be a little bit different than what it really is. Yeah. But that, when you're in the hip-hop game, works against you, right? Because, well, at least it did. I don't know about today's hip-hop world, but, like, people look at it like back in the day and they'd be like, San Diego, like that's not real life street. You know what I mean? So I've always wanted to find somebody from San Diego and try to like help them out. So but yeah, anyways, I found Obnoxious and I just started hitting them on some messages, and then I was going to San Diego for a surf contest that I do every year, and I was down there and I was like, yeah, man, I was like, fucking come meet me after the contest. They're having an after party for it. And I was fucking dead tired because I did 2 different divisions and I was lucky enough to make the finals in both of them. I was just fucking tired as shit, but I didn't want to flake on the dude. Damn. So I ended up still going to the after party, and I ended up hanging with him, and he was just cool as shit. Like, a really, like, like, he's a real street dude for sure, but, like, just a cool fucking dude. You know what I mean? Like, just, like, instantly, like, having laughs and good times. And after that, it was like, yeah, let's do a fucking record and see if it all works out. You know what I mean?
That's so sick. Oh, yeah, he's sick. He actually, I don't know if you've heard Scribble. He's coming out with, like,
he's dope.
4-5 and all that. He's way dope. And kind of in the same style and a little bit, but I don't know. He just seems like a new up and comer in that type of scene as well, Yeah.
And it's tough, man. It's really fucking hard for white MCs to break through. It's fucking extremely difficult. I think it's getting a little bit easier now, but like it really is, and because there is a lot right out there. And it's just, it's, I don't know what the reason is, but it's just tough for like them to get enough momentum going to like start a career, because there's so many dope ones out there where you're like, fuck, this kid's fucking fire and this fucking kid's dope and da-da-da, but they just,
hard to make it mainstream.
They can't get enough traction to get shit going. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was part of my reason for relaunching Suburban Noise. Not that I want to like go sign every single one of them and da-da-da, but like I would like to like have like somewhere online where it was like a place for them to go and feature their music to get a little bit of a jump start, if that makes any sense.
I was kind of going to say, like, in a way, they're not under S.R.H, but you work closely with, like, U.S. Circle A because you support, it's cool how you support, like, your artist solo ventures in a way, too. Not, like, fully promoting them, but in
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. Yeah, for sure. I want St. Haas to do well.
There's mentions and shit.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like there's like I always trip. I'm not on that level. I'm not like a competitive person. I always like tripped out like when people would get like competitive in the music business. I'm like, first of all, it's art, and so there's no like, it's not a race. You know what I mean? Like, there's no race. There's no winner. It's art. So like, you might think something sucks, and I might think it's amazing. It doesn't make me right and you wrong, or you right and me wrong. It's just, it's art. It's an opinion. You know what I mean? Like, so, but for whatever reason, there's always, and especially with hip hop, there's always like this sense of like, of competition, you know what I mean? And then when you add the business side to it, then, you know, then it gets magnified, right? Where I've always been like, fuck, why wouldn't I want to help out whoever, you know what I mean? And along the way, I've been very like Tech Nine, you know, when we first started taking him out on tour, he was a $500 a night act, you know what I mean? And like, he was fucking dope. I was like, there's just no fucking way that this dude should be making $500 a night. He's fucking dope.
Hell
and Chad was the dude who was helping him out, who literally like invested a lot of money and a lot of time into Tech's career, was a cool dude. And he was like, you guys have the merch game on point. How'd you guys do this? And I was like, here, this is how I did it, and here's my connection to makes all our stuff, and here's this, and here's that, and fucking, it never occurred to me to like ask for anything for it, or like, it was just like, I'm helping out the homie, like, you know what I mean? Where I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I can't share that with you, dog, because I need to get some, you know, you're gonna give me a couple points on this, and like, that's just not how I op, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, we've talked about it before on here, how it was kind of strange how like you know, you saw it with Insane Clown Posse, how you saw subsequent acts with the Suburban Noise, like nobody really came right after Kottonmouth Kings and kind of with a similar style. And like, not that we were trying to fill their shoes, we try and, you know, we're getting ready to drop our own mixtape here shortly, but like, you know, we're coming with our own style, but definitely we're like highly inspired by Kottonmouth Kings, early Suburban Noise. It's crazy how nobody really came in besides like Chucky, or, you know.
Well, that was one of the I will say this. My outlook on how things were, Brad and I did not share that, right? So when Saint left Kottonmouth, when Saint got kicked out of Kottonmouth, I was friends with Saint. I did not agree with the decision, but it wasn't my decision to make, right? Like, as a manager, you give people advice, but it's their business, it's their group, it's not my decision to make, right? So anyways, when Saint was out, you know, there was obviously animosity on both sides. But my thing was like, I told both sides, I said, hey, check this out. I said, you guys can do what you can do, and you guys, but I get to do what I want to do, right? So if anybody tells me I don't get to work with Saint, then I'm not going to work with you, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Because that was my prerogative. So, you know, I kept working with Saint, and eventually I got it to a place where Brad agreed to put out that first solo record. And then with like the D-gaps and stuff like that, there was a concerted effort to not do stuff like that, where I was always tripped out by that a little bit. I was like, what's the point of, like, I would always use like the Epitaph or the Fat Records model, right? It's like, if you're Fat Records or if you're Epitaph, like, you know, you got No Effects, you got Pennywise, you got Strung Out, you got Lagwagon, right? Like I'm all for diversity and signing other bands, but why would we purposely not embrace and sign bands and help bands that are directly either influenced or dig the sound of what we're doing? Like, it just never made any sense to me. You know what I mean? But that was always a big push and pull between us, for sure.
Man. Yeah, that's crazy.
That connection going still too, you know, like damn, 30. Well, I'm sorry, 20 years later, like everything's like still able to keep, even if they're keeping their separate their separate shit on the side, they're still able to do business with you. Like that's fucking dope. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like the unfortunate part of it is that it's the scale of economics, right? Like the scene is not as big as it was, right? So the reality is that
it's harder to.
the money that comes back on that scene is smaller, right? So for those artists, it's you know, it's tough to make a living, right? And a lot of these guys, like, they have kids and they have families and they have things to support, right? Whereas if, you know, like I said, there's no time machine, but if we would have adopted that mentality a little bit more back in the day, you know what I mean? It would have been easier to probably keep the scene alive, bigger, and two, them being able to make some money back then that would have been a little bit more significant, right? Like there should have been no reason why, you know, we never took Sane out on tour and we would block DGAF from being on tour with us. It was just fucking stupid. It was just fucking immature and stupid. It just is what it is.
Music politics, you know?
Yeah, I mean, internal politics, or, you know, ego gets involved. You know, I got one. Fucking, you know what I mean? There's no way that anybody could say they could look back at the last 25, 30 years and go, well, I did everything right. You know what I mean? Like, anybody that tells you that, fucking full of shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure I made mistakes, and I'm sure that you know, I did some things that were probably I could have done better. You know what I mean? But looking back at it, at least I can say when I made the decisions that I made at the time, it was with the information that I had, and I never made a decision that was just solely to benefit myself. You know what I mean? I was always trying to do something to, like, keep the momentum alive or fix relationships or fucking build the thing. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it was always like, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, like I was always trying to put, like, myself in the kid's shoes or the fan's shoes. You know what I mean? Like, always trying to, like, think about it from their perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you can't go out there and say, oh yeah, we're starting this whole scene and live this lifestyle and then act like a fucking douchebag. You know what I mean? Like, unless you want a whole world full of douchebags, which I don't.
Real ones only, buddy. That's
yeah.
That's it. Chicago, Dan.
I live in the suburbs here. And then I saw that the S.R.H, you guys are manufacturing the actual clothing in Chicago, right?
Yeah, the pick and pack, like the warehouse that, like, ships it out, is out there.
Yeah, Benchmark, right? Yeah, you could drive over there. Took a picture of it.
They've did you really? That's badass.
Yeah, put a few stickers up over there too.
Thank you. They've had a lot of issues though with the COVID thing. Like, the supply chains are, like, breaking down, and, like,
oh yeah, it's worse here than anywhere else in Cook County. That's the #1 county right now. Strictest restrictions and everything right now.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's like, you know, sometimes I'll get these messages online from kids, and, like, they don't realize that, like, sometimes I actually do, like, look at, like, the inbox and shit, right? Like, I had one kid, like, fucking so funny. I wonder if I can find the email, but he ordered a shirt, and it was less than 48 hours later. He sent he must have been buzzed or drunk or something, but he sent, like, a rude message to the customer service thing that one of the guys at Benchmark reads, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he was like, where's my fucking shirt, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And the guy wrote back, the guy that shipped it out said, hey, your shirt just went out today. Expect some, like, you know, a little bit of delays because of the COVID thing, and the mailers are slower. Everything's slower, right? The mail system's slower, everything's slower. And the kid fucking wrote back just this message that was like, what the fuck would you write that for? He was like, I don't care about COVID. Fuck you. I don't care if fucking, I just want my stuff. I don't care if you die. Like all this, like, it was like a heavy message. And somebody forwarded it to me, and I fucking wrote the kid back. And I was like, hey man, I was like, I don't know what you were on when you wrote the below, but check this out. I said, whether you believe in the COVID thing or not, I don't really give a shit, but it's real. I said, and everybody's got fucking feelings. You can't write messages like that. I said, I know that a lot of companies say that the customer is always right, but not S.R.H, and you ain't right. Like, you know what I mean?
Hell
like,
yeah.
I said, I will fucking refund your money right now. You can keep the fucking shirt. I don't give a shit. I was like, but I don't want anybody walking around in an S.R.H shirt with this kind of a fucking attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And anyways, I sent the message, and the kid wrote me back like 48 hours later and apologized and was like, da da da. So I didn't fucking make any more big of a deal about it. But it's like, I was bummed on that. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Middle of a fucking pandemic, and you're fucking telling people you hope they get it and die. I'm like, that's not
what
fun.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Man, I bet he shit a brick when Kevin Zinger was in the inbox.
That's true though. I'm like, all that the customer is always right shit. Fuck that, dude. Like, S.R.H is a lifestyle. You ain't always right, homeboy. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, like, I'll be the first one to admit it if we fuck up, and I have no problem refunding somebody's money, and I have no problem saying sorry and da da da. But don't start fucking acting like an asshole. You know what I mean? There's no need for that.
Yeah, the entitlement generation, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Sure is.
What's your guys' group called?
What's up? We're Checkmate Industries. We each kind of have some solo acts.
We just call it Checkmate.
Yeah, I like the name. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, bro. We just we all just started. I mean, Daniel's been making music a long time, but we just started recording recently. You know.
And how did Checkmate start? Weren't you guys doing like there was like a funny meme page that was going around? That shit cracked me up. Fucking
yeah.
I think some of the other guys didn't think it was that funny. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
No, that's us.
It's all bro.
We got together. We got together during the whole Kingdom Come debacle, when everyone was, wondering where their pre-order was.
Oh,
we kind of all connected that way.
What was the story with all that?
We all bought merch. We were all waiting on merch.
Download. We talked to both sides. Go, Daniel. You could probably explain it best.
Oh man, I don't even remember.
That was the William Mosley guy, yeah.
Yeah, the Kingmaker guy, the Kingmaker guy, yeah.
That
guy looks like
happened there exactly.
He looks like he knows what he's doing at a computer desk, not in the cannabis industry. I'll just say that. So
as you know, how we got fucked with by the mass troller, that tried to screw all those people over. These two, I didn't know them yet, but we were all waiting on our merch. Those two, being the trolls that they are.
Get them. Fuck that. That's cool. I can respect that.
I had to file a PayPal claim to get my money back.
That's the fucking weakest shit ever, dude. Like, all those fucking people like you guys order their shit and then you don't even fucking get it. In fact, somebody was online. God, what the fuck was it? I can't even remember what we did, but it was some piece of merch that we put out or whatever, and somebody went online and was said, oh, that's cool, because some people still blame me for that one. I'm like, I wasn't even her out. Fuck, I get blamed for everything. It's fucking but anyways, some kid was like, I never got my fucking Kingdom Come merch and blah 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 blah, and I saw it. That's fucked up, man. So I direct messaged the kid and fucking was like, hey man, I'm sorry, like I didn't have anything to do with that, but send me your address and fucking whatever the merch thing was that he was saying. That's what he said. He said, I can't afford this. And then the last time I ordered something from you guys, I never got it with the Kingdom Come thing is what he was talking about. And I can't even afford this now. Maybe I could if I, if you guys would have refunded my money or something like that. But anyways, I DM'd the kid and I sent him the merch thing and a couple other things just directly anyways, you know what I mean? I think when the Kings do their next record, like I'm going to figure out a way that like, cause I think like pretty much, I don't know about everybody, but I think a lot of fucking people got burned on that one. Like,
oh yeah.
And it starts off with people just contacting the email address and asking for communication, but when someone doesn't at least communicate with what's going on after times, you kind of start getting mad, so.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit, dude. I'd be mad too. Like, you can't take people's money and not send their product.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's stealing. That's fucking stealing. Like, and you can click a couple buttons and refund their cash. You know what I mean? And like I said, I wasn't around back then, so I don't know what the real story was. But like, D-Loc is not a person that is going to be figuring out shipping out merch or PayPal accounts or anything like that, right? So when he goes online and says, hey, I'm going to make sure your guys' merch gets there, I think in his head he really believes it, you know what I mean? Yeah. But if the other people don't send it out, you know what I mean? Then, and look, he's not completely innocent, right? Because you have to do your due diligence on who you're doing business with, right? But I don't think his intention was not to take people's money, right? And I know that he didn't end up getting it. I think, somebody else ended up getting the money, but it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's fucking mouth. You know what I mean?
I think a big part of it too was at first, I think they had an overwhelmingly good response. I think they had like a lot of people.
They weren't prepared.
Because they were doing it out of his garage, and then they ended up having to get like a fulfillment. So.
That whole thing's a mess, but I don't,
Yeah, you weren't even around.
Yeah, and like those guys, like D-Loc and Richter and Saint, still don't get paid for that record.
Yeah. There was word that Sub Noise was gonna like reissue it somehow.
Yeah, I hit up everybody, and I was like, I will reissue it and make sure that everybody gets paid, right? I even had a conference call with the producer guy Corleone, and I put and Steve Dang and the guys that would be owed money on it, and was like, this is what I'll do, but I could never get the William guy to pull it down and do what he needed to do for me to be able to reissue it. And we're not talking about a lot of money, but it's still the principle of the thing, right? Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Those guys made the record. They should get paid from it.
Yeah, what they wrote.
That was a good album. I think
for those guys, right? Like D-Loc and Richter, like they're like Brad sold the catalog, and then and then that last Kingdom Come record, they don't get paid from that. So it's like,
it's shit, bro.
Yeah.
That's not right.
They put in a lot of work throughout their lives to just get it all.
Yeah. Well, when I started helping them again, I reached out to the people that bought the catalog from Brad. So now I made sure that they get paid for the sales moving forward. There was like 4 years or 5 years where Brad was had control of those masters, and he never paid them a royalty and just basically just burned them. But from the time that company bought it and moving forward, now they get paid for it. So
that's Cleopatra, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's weird that company isn't like maintaining the catalog digitally. Like you look on Spotify and there's like missing albums and like missing songs and shit.
Yeah,
like, I don't know why they would buy that catalog but not like maintain the actual songs.
Yeah, I mean, they probably just don't know. So if you know, please email me those what they are, and I'll hit them and tell them. I've told them a few of them that I've noticed myself, but if there's more, please, you know what I mean? Let me know.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for them, like I mean, that's basically, they're one of those companies that buys catalogs and puts it out. So like, they don't know the lifestyle. They're not like in tune with anything. So they push it out through a system and think that everything's uploaded, and they might have forgotten a full CD. They might have, you know what I mean? There's a million ways where that kind of shit can get fucked up. You know what I mean? So doesn't.
No.
But at least they're paying them. You know what I mean?
That's cool that we're able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah, Kevin, when you get a chance, you got to check out Daniel's production, man. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, check out the mixtape we got coming.
Yeah.
Hey, brother.
We're finishing up the single for it right now.
So send it to me.
Yeah, we will.
I'll DM you my email address so you can check it out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I don't know. You guys have any more questions for him? I think we've taken up plenty of this time.
Yeah, bro. We really
need the list here.
Sure.
I got everything I wanted to ask. At least for right now.
Mm.
Yeah, we got a question about Taxman. We've been wondering if on stage Taxman's microphone or megaphone was actually turned on, or if it was just like a prop.
It was turned on. It was turned on to about 60%. So like when you would hear everything going, he was still turned down a little bit, but it was turned on. Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking there would probably be a lot of feedback with those speakers.
Yeah, and then he got the wrath for a little bit too. So like there were times when they were picking on him a little bit, where they might have like turned him down or fuck, you know what I mean? There's probably some shit like that. But yeah, but he's still but yeah, for the most part it was usually at about 60%. Yeah.
Okay. Checkmate myth busted right there.
Yeah.
So the way it rigged up was in the megaphone there's like that the back part of it. So they took that back part, like where the mouth muzzle thing was, and they slammed a microphone in there and fucking covered it back up. And
so it was linked in like a mic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. That's sick. See,
yeah.
That would have never ever come out, man.
What's that?
We asked that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's still here. He lives with me, so
yeah.
It's here somewhere.
Yeah, shout out Munchies.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Anything else, Daniel?
I should have told him to come fucking back here and fucking jump on with you guys for a minute.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Time to share some stories another time. We got plenty of episodes ahead of us. Damn, that'd be cool.
Yeah, man. No, it's cool you guys are doing this whole thing, man. Fucking keep the fans fucking stoked out and keep building the community part of it. That's badass, dude. I back it 100%. I know that through the time of you guys doing this, right? Some people have taken a few things out of context, and you guys have thrown a little fucking jokes around there every once in a while, and I've always thought they were funny, right? But I've seen a few things where people probably took them out of context. But if you can't laugh at yourself, then that's the bigger problem in life, right? So
exactly.
You don't have to worry about me. I always thought it was funny as shit. So
sweet, bro.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because when everyone wants to roast us, like, hey, man, that just means you got your eye on us. That's
the
cool.
one thing that I do trip out on is there's one guy that's online that like he makes these gay Instagrams, and
we know who he is.
We know.
Dog.
What's wrong with that?
Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
Why would
you tell him? You tell him.
Okay. Whatever you want to, however you want to spend your time, but like, bro, there's probably a million better ways to spend your time than that. Like, because he really spends a lot of time doing that. I'm like, dude, fucking, you spend a lot of time doing this.
So he was messaging us. He was actually like one of like the founding homies. And we couldn't really quite figure out his style either. Like he would just run with those really homo, homo ass comments and shit. His name's Brandon Walters. He's out in South Carolina. He's an old school Kottonmouth Kings fan. He knows a lot about the group, but he still just, that's what we think, dude. He totally just like went off the rails and won't have anything to do with us. He blocks me and Daniel. He'll message our homie Buzz. He maintains with him, but yeah, he's like, I think the new account is like Flawless Cowboy 69 or something.
He's got over 100 different accounts.
I mean, God bless him, man. Like, that's the way you want to spend your fucking day. But like, I was just like, yeah, dog, all right. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
I don't have energy to put into something like that. That's for
sure. Yeah. There's, you know, I mean, that's what makes your
productive choices,
I guess. But there's probably a lot more productive things you could do at this time for sure. But yeah, I saw some heavy ones where I was like, whoa, like, and then he like switches them all the time to like another thing, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, dude, fine.
I don't even have time to look at that shit.
What we will take credit for gladly is Spaded Family Memes. Have you checked that account?
Yeah. I saw that one. That's awesome.
That's really Daniel. That's Daniel's love chuck.
I was laughing. I even got up in there. It was let's pull it up. I think it was like the Zinger cupcakes, yeah.
Oh yeah, that one. That was Buzz.
That one was dope.
Hell yeah.
You put my face on like the cupcake, yeah? Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Spaded Family Memes. Oh, I don't even follow you guys. That's weak. Sorry. I didn't.
Yeah. All right.
Shit's fucking good, dude. I'm trying to find
Instagram Spaded Family Memes.
Yeah,
no. We don't want to get too nasty there. We just want
No, that's
right.
I mean, look, if shit like this doesn't exist about your band or your lifestyle or whatever you're doing, if it doesn't exist, that means you're just failing. You know what I mean? Like I tell people that all the time. Like, dude, come on, that's fucking classic, dude. My face on a cupcake that says Zingers. I mean, come on, that's genius. Yeah, I mean, if there's not stuff like that, that means that nobody cares.
Exactly. So, then you haven't made a big enough impact yet.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's funny.
So sick. Well, I'm glad we got the Zinger blessing, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
All good, boys. I appreciate the time. You guys have a good one. Be safe out there. Fucking don't get the COVID. And
yep, serious.
Yeah.
We'll get that mixtape over for a preliminary opinion from you.
DM me when it's ready. I'll check it out. I'll be stoked.
All right, cool.
All right, brother.
All right, boys. Have a good one. Good talking with you.
All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.